take my camera with me wherever I go. Trying to find my soulmate. I know there's got to be somebody out there somewhere.
Isn't that just so bitchin'?
What's your name?
Star! I have to rot my life away in a 9-to-5 hellhole to support your lazy, juvenile delinquent.
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up! I'm not Brown Cow, Cowboy.
Oh my God.
Let the love feast begin. Sometimes I feel so old-fashioned. There's got to be somebody out there somewhere who can hold me in their arms and tell me everything's going to be okay.
Fine Line Features presents the new movie from Gregg Araki, director of The Living End and The Doom Generation.
LA is like nowhere. Everybody who lives here is lost.
Do you know what today is? It's Armageddon Day. The day the world's supposed to end.
Have I ever told you that I love you? Life is so complicated.
James Duval, Christina Applegate, Nathan Bexton, Rachel True, Jason Simmons, Kathleen Robertson, Jeremy Jordan, Heather Graham, Tracy Lords, and John Ritter.
It's been a gnarly day.
Nowhere.
But does that make you feel so much better? What if?
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome back. It wasn't really intended that we were going to do 2 Gregg Araki movies in a row, but
not quite.
we somehow ended up here, and I love it.
We did. Well, I mean... Oh, and first episode in the new place.
Yes.
We'll get to it. Mm-hmm. Welcome back to the show, everybody. My name's Pete.
And I'm Scott.
And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes, Seth from Jerk of All Trades. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we just did Doom Generation with Rudy last week, and we watched Nowhere, written and directed by Gregg Araki, released May 9th, 1997. I'm assuming opened at the Sunset 5. And also, did you know, opened the same day as The Fifth Element? I found that out today.
All right.
Same day as The Fifth Element,
Cute.
May 9th, 1997. So, one hell of a summer.
Yeah. Okay.
Seth, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
And you came up in the conversation last week with Rudy of...
Our guest, Rudy Blue.
Where I think you just came up. And I think that he recommended, you should get Seth on the show.
Well, thanks, Rudy. Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm an insanely huge Gregg Araki fan.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I think your Rose McGowan tattoo might have come into the conversation.
That would be it. I do have a Doom Generation tattoo on my body.
Love it. Love it. We usually start off the episodes talking about how we were kind of introduced to the movie in question. So when did you first see Nowhere?
I can very, very specifically remember. First time I saw it was a little bit after it had been out, probably 2005 or 6 maybe. So it was a little late to the game on this one, but I remember I was working at a body piercing shop when I was 19 or 20, and one of my best gal pals, who was a few years older than me, would constantly talk about this movie and quote it, and I had no idea what she was talking about half the time. And this is when I feel like VHSs were kind of out and DVDs were at the height of their popularity. Yeah. And so movies weren't even on YouTube at this point. As we know, this movie was extremely rare for a while there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I talked about that on our episode last week I was always familiar with this movie when I was in high school, but I could just never get a hold of it. And I did not watch this movie until I started seeing Pete.
Yeah.
And we rented it at Videotheque in their Gregg Araki section, and they just had the lone VHS copy of it. Because Videotheque will, if it's available on VHS and not DVD, the VHS will be there for particular titles.
Yeah.
When maybe 2008, I actually lived above a video store in Philadelphia.
Nice.
And I'd say 80% of the store was still VHS tapes. And it was weird because my rent at the time was the most expensive I'd ever paid. So most of my time was spent just renting movies and sitting in my apartment all the time.
Yeah.
And I will never forget when they went out of business, right before I moved out, they were just selling everything.
Oh, wow.
And it was like 5 VHS tapes for, $1 or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was a copy of Nowhere.
Man.
And that's how I had my first and only copy of it on VHS.
All right.
We got our copy a few years ago off eBay.
Bought it on eBay.
Just bought it.
I've talked about it on this show. I just gave my old copy away, just put it in a box, and was like, I'm moving. I've got to purge. And that and my purchased VHS of Nowhere and my taped off of Cinemax copy of Doom Generation. That one's probably in a landfill somewhere. But did you were you familiar at all with Gregg Araki? Had you seen Doom Generation yet? Did you see this one first?
I'd seen Doom. It's weird because I can't remember the first time I saw Doom Generation. And I want to say that I did see that, maybe when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was a total little goth kid in high school. And so I, at some point, had gotten my hands on the Doom Generation. But Nowhere never made it to me until I was, late teens.
Okay. And your life was forever changed.
It was. Much like you, years later, that would be sitting in my mom's basement.
Yeah.
And I would go home and be like, all right, I got a VCR again. Let me grab all my old VHSs. And lo and behold, it was no longer there. She just threw it in the trash, I think.
Damn it.
I threw a big hissy fit over that one.
Oh, boy. Somebody online, we had talked about Gregg Araki movies being hard to find. One of our... It was either on Instagram or something. Somebody posted a link to Nowhere being on Blu-ray, but upon closer inspection, it was Region 2.
It's a Region 2 UK transfer.
Yeah.
Looks like a really nice edition, though.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, obviously, it's got to be the soundtrack keeping this out of our grubby hands.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just the licensing rights.
Maybe like 2017. I was back home in Philly visiting, and I went to one of my favorite record stores I always stop in, and out of fucking nowhere,
hey,
there was a vinyl copy of the soundtrack just sitting in the store.
Oh, wow, the vinyl.
Okay.
But I believe it was like a European release. So like, the cover, like if you just looked at it, you wouldn't think this is Nowhere at all. But it was the legit pressing of it.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of my... prized possession.
That's super cool. I bought this soundtrack from Amoeba for like $2.99, and it's in my car, and I listen to it all the time
on CD.
Yeah.
Like if you just get in my car and just turn on my CD thing, chances are it's going to be the Nowhere soundtrack.
Luckily enough, there actually are. I mean, they're not legit, but there are DVD copies of it out there now.
Yeah.
I eventually got my hands on one, but. Yeah, I remember when it was just Region 2. And
there is kind of a crappy transfer on YouTube. So it is there.
Yes.
It's a little squished. Aspect ratio is kind of janky, but, if you really need to watch it and you don't have a VCR, or as I'm hearing a lot lately, people are referring to them as VHS players.
Oh my God, it drives me nuts.
It's a VCR.
Did I just do that 5 seconds ago?
I don't think so. No. I think it's a VCR. So
definitely shows our age.
Yeah, exactly. So I, like I said, and like I mentioned last week, stumbled upon Doom Generation on Skinemax late at night, and had a VCR in my room, and so I was able to record it upon its next viewing. So I kind of probably sat in front of the guide as it scrolled upwards like for hours on end till I could see like, oh, it's going to be on again. That, or else we did have a subscription to the actual TV guide, because we were that kind of a family. It came
I think that TV Guide's rating for the Doom Generation would probably be 2 or lower stars.
You know what, though? I think they had some gays working there writing the descriptions of some of the episodes. Because sometimes you'd read like what's coming on tonight, and you're like, "What? Who wrote this?" It was kind of sassy every now and then. But I figured out when I was going to play next. Recorded it off the television. Was just fascinated by these kids. Rose McGowan and James Duval. and Jonathan Scheck as well. But like James Duval, like I mean,
what a babe!
Oh my goodness,
little baby Keanu with that voice.
And so then I'm not really remembering how I even knew about Nowhere. We didn't see it in the theater, that's for sure, but we got our hands on it. I most likely bought it at Tower Records, forced my friends to watch it, and the ones that got it, and the ones that didn't. And we kind of became obsessed with it, just being like LA kids. We were just like, thought we were just the coolest shit on earth, because we were like, this is our city. Like, if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't even know it's LA, because it's that thing that he does where he does not show you anything to tell you that it's here.
At least in this movie, you hear more references of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
More so than Doom Generation.
Yeah. And then like the one big thing is the Roslyn Hotel downtown.
I have a story about this.
Oh, all right.
This is the movie that made me want to move to LA.
Yeah.
Like, this is quintessential reason I was like, I want to be a Gregg Araki character in Los Angeles. And I'm from the East Coast originally and moved to California and lived in San Francisco. And I was like, no, this is the city I should be in.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I'm kind of the age of these characters. It was 97, and I was like
just out of high school,
fresh in community college. And so I just felt like Dark's taking like, what did she say? Like 8 units. That's 2 classes. She's like, oh, you're going to bomb the whole 8 units you're taking this semester. And it's like, all right, Dark.
And I do like that it's set with actors in their early 20s. I mean, these actors are probably in their late 20s.
They're varying in age.
They're varying in age, but I like that they don't try to pass them off as high school age.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the VHS box has the quote on it.
I know. Beverly Hills 90210 on acid.
On acid, yeah.
Also advertised as Clueless with nipple rings.
Oh, man.
I mean, when you break down this cast, Kathleen Robertson would have been on 90210
she was on at the time. Yeah.
So that's very cool and subversive.
Did Denise Richards do Melrose Place?
Denise Richards did Melrose Place, yep.
Good old Lucifer.
Oh, I love that character.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I think in the IMDb trivia, the 90210 on acid quote is attributed to Gregg Araki.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true. Do we think that's true? Maybe. Yeah.
Wait, is the Clueless thing on the box?
The Clueless thing, I don't know. It might be on the back.
It might have been on one of the posters.
Oh, sure. You know what we were talking about last night. Of the few and far between actual visual references to LA, we were like, well, I guess Clueless kind of ruined having Circus Liquor in your movie for like a few years. Because wouldn't it have kind of been a good location for this?
Absolutely.
Right? I feel like the big sign would have been like...
See, it's funny because
iconic for this movie.
As a kid, Clueless is what I thought LA was. And then I saw this movie and I was like, oh, this is what I want it to be. And this is why I would love to move there.
Yeah.
And Circus Liquor being one of my favorite places to randomly hang out sometimes.
You know, there's...
when we were looking at new apartments... I was just like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we lived near Circus Liquor?
Well, you're right down the street from the Bullet.
You could go to the Bullet.
A fun bar.
Mm-hmm.
I did a whole photo shoot on the roof of my car in a G-string outside of Circus Liquor a few months ago, dressed up as a clown.
Oh, I love it.
But we can get into that another time.
Yeah. What is the bar? Cobra?
Club Cobra. Have you ever been to Club Cobra?
Door?
No, but I've heard about it.
Pete took me into Club Cobra once, and I felt very, very white.
I felt very white in Club Cobra. I was like, girl, this is...
It's also a bathhouse, no?
That's around the other corner.
Okay, gotcha.
Cobra is to the right, the bathhouse is to the left.
I haven't experienced a lot of the nightlife in North Hollywood, but...
I mean, that's about it. we just talked about all of it. So yeah, the local landmarks are few and far between, like we said, but then sometimes they'll do something where the coffee shop that they go to, that's just painted all black on the inside. Yes. I don't know if it's a coffee shop, restaurant, whatever it is. There's shots of them walking out, and it's just like a burnt out shell of a building.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where
just desolate Los Angeles.
Yeah, I love it. But I mean, one of the first things that we obviously notice in this movie, when the credits start rolling, is this fucking cast.
Oh my!
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that when you look at this cast of this movie, it's just, I mean, I think if you were a young working actor in Los Angeles, you probably came around the casting office for Gregg Araki at some point. Just because there's so many people in this movie. I mean, Rachel True, Kathleen Robertson, Jordan Ladd, Christina Applegate, Guillermo Diaz, Jeremy Jordan, Debbie Mazar, Ryan Phillippe, Heather Graham, Scott Caan. Like, the list goes on and on.
And Mrs. Garrett.
Did you say Mena Suvari already?
Mena Suvari, yeah.
When she was like...
so tiny.
They're, I guess, supposed to be the high school kids in the movie, but she looks like she's 11.
They're supposed to be children.
It's one of her first roles, I think.
And what is American Pie 2 years later? Is it 99?
99. Yeah. American Pie and American Beauty, both 99.
And she really grew up in those 2 years.
Yeah,
you can tell.
yeah. But, I mean, she was that age. She was probably 17 in this movie.
And I think Nowhere first came on my radar was when I was just reading of profiles of young actors, and I always noticed Nowhere was coming up. When I would just read stuff on Ryan Phillippe, Mena Suvari, Christina Applegate, like, Nowhere was always in their filmography description.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, Nathan Bexton, I remembered him from Go, and thinking he was so fucking cute. And did you grow up on the In Crowd?
Yes. The In Crowd.
I just showed Pete the trailer for the In Crowd. I need to track down like a copy of the In Crowd. I feel like the In Crowd was also one of those staples of like late night cable.
That movie doesn't exist anymore. So so Go, what year was Go?
Go is 99.
99.
It's another favorite of mine.
That's okay.
Nathan Bexton, whatever happened to you? Come back.
Yeah,
I did a Google search to see if I could find anything current on him, a current photo, because he's around your age.
Yeah.
So it's like he's not ancient. Like, it's not like he...
Yeah.
I mean, he's still around. He's from Canada.
Just not really acting too much.
Not really acting too much.
Well, I mean, some of the actors in this movie, you look on their IMDb and they look amazing. Rachel True being somebody who has not aged a day.
Yeah.
Nope.
In
True
25
true
years.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, that is
the
actual witchcraft. And then some of the others, like Jeremy Jordan, look a little different. But, you know, whatever. We all age differently. That was something that in Doom Generation really caught my eye right off the bat. And it was his use of these actors that we know from other things and then throwing them in there.
Yeah.
You know, and so in Doom Generation, having, you know, Amanda Bearse from Married with Children, you know, and Margaret Cho and, you know, Peter Brady and all of that stuff. And then in this movie, it's like turned up a notch with like all the parents.
Brought back Christopher Knight and Eve Plum.
Right.
Charlotte Rae. I mean, at a time where Charlotte Rae was probably not working a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she has one very brief scene and only says, like, does she even say it? She says death or something. And then takes a bite of chicken. Yeah.
On Venice.
Yeah, on Venice. So, yeah, just something about the way he uses that kind of casting of, like, the throwback celebrities, but then also really subversive shit where he would get people, like, that you kind of knew already. So, like, Stacey Keenan from Step by Step and My Two Dads.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And then, you know, she's with Devin Odessa from My So-Called Life. And these are two actresses that have played very kind of like, you know...
They played versions
TGIF
of these
roles.
characters, yeah.
I told her not to stop doing Crystal.
Like, that shit is not going to fly on TGIF with Suzanne Summers.
And I would imagine that for them as young people, that it was fun to kind of step out of that box.
Yeah.
And not be so precious for a change.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, that was something I loved, is like these super, super innocent. It's like seeing Bob Saget say the F word, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
God, I remember like Beverly D'Angelo. The only thing I knew her from was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess Vegas Vacation. No, she's in all of them.
She's in all of them.
Yeah, she's the original mom.
Yeah, she's...
yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's her.
Yeah, yeah. Even with the green mask.
Yeah.
I love that she fully has like a green... like this mask on her face, but a red lip.
Yep.
She still has her lipstick on.
Smoking that cigarette.
Smoking that cigarette.
Yeah.
Doc, are you in there flogging the puppy again? Let me in. I gotta wash this crap off my face.
Mom, can you wait just a sec, please?
Honey, I have to rot my life away in a 9-to-5 hellhole to support your lazy, juvenile, delinquent ass. Remember? Sweetheart, chipmunk, my little ray of sunshine. Open up this mother humping door. No!
Jesus, can you hold on?
Cripes, it's as soggy as an armpit in here. How long have you been in that shower abusing yourself? You pump your handle too much, young man. It's gonna wither up and fall off.
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up!
You know, when this movie came out and it was, what did we say, 97?
97.
97.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have, like, my really tight group of friends that I have, like, secretly come out to just to my group of friends. They're all straight, guys and girls. And I've kind of, like, living my truth. But, you know, we're 19, 20. So we don't really have a lot to do with ourselves. So we're not really going out drinking yet, all that stuff. But we're still kind of having some fun. But I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to live my truth. We're going to community college. I'm going to, like, talk about boys and all that stuff. And I find this movie and I show them this movie. To me, this movie was, like, the gayest thing in the world. Like, I'm just like, you guys, you want to watch this super queer faggoty movie? Watching it now, it's, I mean, there's a lot of queer elements to it. But, I mean, Dark really is in love with
Mel.
with Mel, with Rachel True. He is like super in love with her. But you know, at the end, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of naked James Duval everywhere. So like me showing this movie to like my best guy friends, I'm like
Jerking off in the shower.
Are you guys cool with this? Thinking, you know, and it turned out that they were, you know, the ones that were cool with it and know what's up were like, this movie's fucking amazing. And they really kind of took it and ran with it. But it was one of those things that like in 97, you know, there wasn't a lot of movies like this. And it was very refreshing, but not in a like Heartstopper on Netflix kind of a way. In a like, there are other disgusting, dirty idiots out there like me and my dumb friends.
Hello, hi, here I
am. Yeah. Who know this and get this and understand it. And I was just like, thank God. But yeah, there is a lot of James Duval ass in this movie. And in the last one too. We were like,
I mean, you see his balls
clutching our pearls.
You see his balls in the Doom generation.
Yeah, but this movie starts off on him in that shower,
that cavernous shower. I love that.
Yeah, it's just so funny that they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Just a giant soundstage with a little teeny shower. Yeah, and James Duval as Dark in this movie. I mean, his delivery is kind of kooky, right? Like, it's funny. Because there's lines that he says in the trailer where he's just like, life is so hard. And you're just like, oh my God.
He's so emo.
Yeah. He's so emo. He's so very, I don't know. It's kind of like this like valley speak kind of a thing. And it's just a funny, cute. And we described him like a puppy in like the last movie, you know?
Yeah.
Just following Amy around. And in this movie, he's kind of in a similar vein, you know, kind of following Mel around. And you know, Mel is trying to kind of explore this open relationship situation, and he's just not ready for it.
Queen of polyamory.
Yeah. Also, like, kind of a new and refreshing
kind of
topic.
A thing where that wasn't really portrayed a lot in popular media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially with, like, you know, quote unquote straight couple. I mean, she's clearly very open with her.
I mean, she gets with the Brewer twins. At the party.
The fucking Brewers.
I had to do a deep dive on the Brewer twins to refresh my memory of those two.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, but I don't think I have gone down
They sell insurance now in Orange County.
Oh,
surprise,
get the
surprise,
hell right
they do.
out of
Yeah,
town.
I went to their website.
Are there like nudes of them though?
I mean, I'm
do
sure
they do like erotic photography.
I mean, they were like legit models.
Yeah, they were like real models.
I mean, I'm sure
they were
I'm
like
sure
the Nicholas Shea from Backstreet Boys, like epitome of that 90s surfer boy look.
But it's also a little like Bellamy too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, their outfits too. I'm like, what are they wearing?
Well, see the product. I mean, we all know the production design, the costumes, the hair and makeup.
God.
Like, this movie is, I work in costuming, and this is another example of like something that really inspired me to want to get into this. Oddly enough, I did a screening, I think, for the 20th anniversary of the Doom Generation in San Francisco with a friend of mine. We used to have a film series, and after the film, I met a guy named Jason Rail, who is actually the original hair and makeup designer for most of Gregg's early films, and he would then become a lovely friend of mine. When I used to do drag in San Francisco, he did a few wigs for me, and I got to sit down in his home and flip through all the continuity Polaroids from these films.
I think I've seen the one of Rose. Yes. That circulates online.
He has a whole Instagram account for all of these photos.
Cool.
And, you know, I think for years he's been trying to work on a bigger project with it. I'll have to send in his stuff to you guys because it's so much fun to look at all the behind the scenes Polaroids. But to have them in my hands was like, I mean, still, like, I was, I don't know, like 30 at this point, and it was blowing my mind to have this opportunity and to get to know this person. And it's always fun. I try to pick his brains, and he's like, I don't know. We were all high and drunk, and God knows where we were in Sun Valley.
Oh, God, yeah.
The areas of the
locations,
valley.
I've asked him about a lot of the locations. He's like, I don't know. It was some, like, vacant building out in the valley. That we dressed up like a bar, you know?
I love that. You know, we were talking a lot in Doom Generation about the different hotel rooms all had a certain vibe, and there's the black and white checkerboard, and there's the red one, and all of that. And in this movie, it's all of their bedrooms. You know, all their bedrooms have these very specific looks, and there's the iconic shot of Rachel True on the phone in her overalls with the dots, and like even the phone has the dot on it, you know, to match.
Egg's bedroom is all paper flowers, right?
Egg's bedroom with the paper flowers in the window, and then she's got her dress with the little, like, they look like gum wrappers or something that make up the flowers on her dress.
Spent years trying to figure out what it was.
What it is, and these shitty VHS copies are not helping.
This past Halloween, actually, I was at a Halloween party at a bar, and I see this girl walk in with these Twister overalls on, and I go up to her and I was like, are you supposed to be Rachel True? She's like, oh my God, I didn't think anybody would get my costume. And oddly enough, I had thrown, my friend and I in our early 20s did a Nowhere versus Clueless party at a leather bar.
Oh my God.
And of course I had to remake them. So like I had made the Twister overalls, and we put a big Twister board up on the wall, and nobody knew what the hell I was dressed up.
I mean, that's the things that they do visually in these movies. Like Dark's bedroom has this big, huge window that people come in and out of. I mean, aside from the fact that there's a gigantic mural of his face with the gun to his head in his bedroom. But out the window, it's like clearly this is inside of a set in a soundstage, and it's just like crazy lighting that they do to kind of indicate it's nighttime. It's, you know, dusk or whatever. And, you know, when Mel comes in, there's like this orange, and it's very artistic. It's not meant to look real at all. And it's just these crazy, I mean, in these environments, in these sets and the costumes where everything is just like so elevated. It's, you just watch these movies and you're like, okay, this is a Gregg Araki movie from the 90s. And they're just so like,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, who thinks of all this crazy shit?
Bart's bedroom, played by Jeremy Jordan. There's like song lyrics on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I looked up. I think it's like Babyland or something that's on there. But I mean, Jeremy Jordan is cute enough in Never Been Kissed. He's like crazy looking in this movie. I kind of am all about this like bleached out.
I mean,
super skinny,
whenever I bleach out my hair, I think this is probably on like my Pinterest board.
But like his
the look
eyes
that I want to
so
go for.
His face is so pink and the hair is so white, and we're just like, oh my God, this character. I mean, he's like all drugged out and like creepy, but
he has a relationship with Cowboy, right? The character Cowboy,
Guillermo Diaz.
Guillermo Diaz,
we love, And
this is after Party Girl.
This is after
Yes.
Party
So
Girl.
interesting.
Yes.
He looks like a child in this movie.
Yeah, he looks super young in this movie.
Obviously he's grown up a lot, but I will always... This is like one of my favorite roles of his.
Yeah.
Because him with that green hair, he was so cute. Like, totally the kind of boy that I would be going for at that time.
And he's in like this... I mean, I'm assuming it's a punk band.
Oh, yeah. Jane Mansfield's Head.
Yeah. And Sandy Duncan's eye, like the other. Oh my god! So he's in Jane Mansfield's Head with his boyfriend. He like dresses like so cool. He's got fag written on the back of his hand. I don't know if it's Sharpie or supposed to be a tattoo or whatever. And again, me, 20, freshly, out to just my core group of friends. I'm like, that's somebody that I don't know if I could ever be that. Just like. That's so just like out there and putting yourself, and especially in the 90s, I was just like, this is amazing. This character, what in the hell, And knowing him from Party Girl and thinking he was so great in that, and then seeing him in this, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if he actually was gay? Lo and behold.
Surprise! Surprise!
Yeah. So that turned out great. But I love that, and
I think one of the wonderful things about a character like this that like myself can very much identify with is like, in movies and film, you see like punk kids and stuff like that, and you expect them to be super straight, aggressive, types of people. And much like myself, it's like, you show this very soft side of a queer, punk, goth, alternative type of person. And as you brought up Bellamy, like this was the height of like XY magazine where all you were seeing was bleach blonde, spiky. I mean, those were like surfer skater boys, but I don't know. It was very eye opening to me as like a queerdo, child.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what this movie and what Doom Generation did. It was just like, okay, all right, there's hope.
Yes.
It doesn't all have to be one type of way.
So yeah, this is the 6th overall movie from Gregg Araki in the 3rd entry in his Teenage Apocalypse movie. I have not seen Totally Fucked Up. I need to, though.
I personally would say it's third on. It's at the bottom of the 3 for me personally.
Yeah. Isn't it considerably like heavier?
Yes. Yeah. But I think of it in like, it's a very much more artsy film, and it like deals a lot with the AIDS epidemic, which a lot of his earlier films did. Yeah. It's definitely something you need to see at some point, and there's many things from it that I like to quote on a regular basis, but not as much as Nowhere or the Doom Generation.
I think one of my biggest takeaways when I was watching it the first time, Totally Fucked Up, is like, they're like talking about like hot guys or whatever, and somebody says Kevin Costner, and I'm just like, oh god, he's so old.
As an alternative queer person, I love to send gifts to friends of, I can't remember the character's name, but the guy's like, I hate gay things. Liza Minnelli, ugh. Barbara Streisand, couldn't give a shit. Judy Garland, who's she? And again, like with being an alternative kid, I was like, it's cool to see, homosexuals who are into Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and things like this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Have we talked a little bit about the soundtrack yet? Speaking of like this kind of music,
yeah, let's get into
that was one of our things in Doom Generation. We talked about it with Rudy. We were like, this movie just begins with like fire and Nine Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we were like, okay. I think I can like this. But yeah, this soundtrack is a little bit...
let me bring it up.
It's less like industrial kind of...
This is my type of music. Like, this is kind
it's
of
more
my...
like dream pop.
Yeah. This is my genre.
Yeah.
This is like my driving around LA music.
Which in 97, that was like where I feel like the really cool, like that's where we were kind of going, and like British pop and all that with Suede.
Chemical Brothers. I think that they're English too.
This was my introduction to Cocteau Twins, I think, actually.
Okay, yeah.
And kind of more recently, I think that it's become kind of like the cool thing to put them in TV. I think that like what was like the Ryan Murphy Halston.
Yeah.
They were in a big scene at the end of Halston.
Yeah.
Yep. So they've kind of infiltrated a little more of like mainstream culture now.
Yeah.
Before Kate Bush was on TikTok.
I mean,
Good for her. She deserves it.
It's a great song. We can listen to Running Up That Hill all day.
The Elastica song is really good.
Oh, that's right.
Lush, I Have the Moon, really beautiful song. And, of course, Suede, Trash, also a banger.
Mm-hmm. Didn't Rudy just say he went to like a Lush like reunion or something? And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that happened. I didn't even know that happened. But yeah, the soundtrack, crazy. We were kind of mentioning when we were watching the movie last night, it's like all these kids, we're assuming they all go to like the same community college. Clearly these kids are not going to like UCLA.
Right. This is probably like the Northridge Community College.
They're going to like Glendale CC or something, you know. But I just love that everywhere they go, they all run into each other. And they just all still know each other.
Right.
Just like something like the actual 90210. That's a little bit where I'm like, okay, these kids are still like, oh, hey, so-and-so, where's, you know.
Well, it's like every scene is basically, I feel like, 2 to 3 characters' storylines going back and forth, back and forth.
It's very Robert Altman-esque.
Yes.
Ooh.
When you kind of revisit this movie. I wonder if,
right.
like, Gregg had that in mind of kind of doing this, like multiple storylines and conversations that you're following and you're connecting.
Okay.
And they all end up at this one big party at the end.
Yeah. Jujyfrui's party, man.
Jujyfrui's
What a party. That looked like a lot of fun. I mean, aside from the murder, but
never looked at tomatoes, Campbell's soup the same way.
So, all right. We brought this up in Doom. I mean, we keep going back to Doom Generation, but you know, and you mentioned Showgirls earlier. This movie has some dark scenes in it.
It does.
Yeah. Doom Generation has a crazy dark ending. This has some dark stuff right in the middle. I do have to say that I just often remember, the character of Egg. We'll talk about everybody's names, too. We haven't even gotten to that yet.
I had to write them all down.
See how many I could do offhand.
You know, there's a character that there's a sexual assault in the middle of this movie. And I remember, you know, just being like, man, it's a heavy scene. I hate that scene. I don't like watch. Just like much like Showgirls, I usually just stop it right when they get to the party where Caesar sings, you know. But because it's heavy, it's hard to watch. I do have to say, watching it last night, while still heavy and intense, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it.
Yeah, Showgirls, no sexual assault scene in a film is easy or comparable to one another, but it's definitely different than Showgirls.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have to say, like, I'm a bit desensitized to things like this due to, life and personal experiences.
True.
But I learned, like, years ago to give give friends a trigger warning.
Yeah.
Because I remember being so excited to show this movie to people.
Sure.
And then certain friends being like, why'd you do that to me? That was really hard to watch. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Not everybody can handle things as dead inside as I am.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole thing too is that it's this mysterious television actor that they see that they mention Baywatch.
Yeah, and I think this actor
was
actually
on Baywatch.
So that's I didn't watch Baywatch growing up.
Yeah.
But he's actually on Baywatch.
Was he on actually Baywatch or one of the spinoffs?
No, he was on regular old Baywatch. His name is Jason Simmons. He's Australian, and Jason has 2 A's.
Of course he does.
And Jason, I watched a lot of television when I was a teenager, and I didn't watch Baywatch, but it was one of those things that here in Southern California, it was Baywatch was run in syndication, and so was Star Trek: The Next Generation. And so here they were on the same channel. And so I would often see coming up on Baywatch when I would watch Star Trek or Deep Space Nine or whatever. So I was familiar with Jason Simmons.
You'd probably get the tail end of the episode of Star Trek was on after.
Yes, absolutely. And so, so there's this thing where these characters are in this restaurant, coffee shop situation. And they see him, whatever. And there's the sexual assault scene. Like I said, when I watched it again last night, I was like, okay, it was bad. It wasn't as traumatizing as it was, in my brain. And then I feel like everything in these movies is a little bit more like the violence is always more stylized than anything.
Yeah.
Like even the aftermath of the violence is like, and the Egg character is like, she's pretty tore up.
Yeah.
When she's like running through the streets and everything and makes her way home. And I think that's more maybe what stayed with me is her reaction to everything, because it's rough what ultimately happens to this character, after it when she gets home and all that. That's what I feel like I reacted to more, and I think some of my friends who watched it and were like, "What is this movie?" I think was more so the last scene. I think kind of threw people more than anything.
Sure.
But that's like another way that he kind of brings all the characters together, because much like Egg, you've got Bart, Guillermo's boyfriend who's on heroin, and his whole situation, and then the ending as well. Just all these. I mean, how much are we? Spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alert for this 25-year-old movie.
They all die.
They all die.
In different, very intense ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. They're very, very, very stylized.
I mean, one of my favorite things was in a much later Gregg Araki movie, Kaboom, which literally ends with a shot of the Earth from space exploding.
That's right.
Like, it's literally Earth just exploding in the middle of space. So it's like that. I think that kind of happens at the end of all of it.
Well, and also just sort of that overall theme of are we alone out there?
Yeah.
Just kind of like aliens. We get like the reptile, creature like following characters around.
Another reoccurring character of his in several projects.
Yeah.
Including Now Apocalypse, which I watched 3 episodes of yesterday.
Okay.
We only watched like 3
we
episodes.
Didn't finish.
We didn't finish it.
We didn't finish it, which I feel like we will.
Yeah,
we'll
we will.
To it. That's cute.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Kaboom when it came out, honestly. And I think it's just because I was expecting everything to be like the 90s films, and I was so excited to see something new. And then, I don't know, almost a decade later, when Now Apocalypse came out, it's actually very similar to Kaboom.
Yeah.
But I think seeing a television series done by him and all these characters being brought back from other films, including the reptile from nowhere. Well, James Duval. Yeah, I mean, just all the actors, too. I just had a really fun time with it. But.
Okay. Well, we'll get around to finishing it. Yeah. And then the other like crazy violent scene in the movie, like we said, with the tomato soup. Elvis is an insane character in this movie.
I would have to say he's the sexiest character in the whole film, though.
That shot of him on the bike.
Oh my God. That's what made me gay.
Yeah. I mean, and there's things too, like watching it in movies and he's just like, all right, tie me up. And then she like, binds his hands and then he's like, spank me harder. And it's played for a joke and it's played for like being funny and all that. But it's like, yeah, all right. He's just like getting off on like getting spanked. That's not that outrageous,
Yeah.
It's like people are into that. And it's like dumb little, Alyssa, who's played by
Jordan Ladd, who's supposed to be in Doom Generation. She would have been very young if they got her for Doom Generation.
She was supposed to play Amy, right?
She was,
yeah.
Ducky.
Ducky
is
Scott Caan's
brother. Yeah,
right.
Scott Caan. Yeah, that one.
Scott thinks Scott Caan is very sexy.
Probably is a good like 5 foot, stocky build.
Scott Caan looks to be. I think he's about 5'5".
Yeah,
which is fine. We love a short king. I mean, what am I, 5'7", maybe on a good day after yoga.
Jordan Ladd was Alyssa.
She was Alyssa, the twin sister of Shad, Ryan Phillippe. Yeah. I think that might have been the first thing that I had seen in 97.
Really?
Yeah. Because the other one,
Heather Graham.
No, the Ryan Phillippe's big movie. I can't
Cruel
think of it.
Intentions.
Cruel Intentions is 99,
right?
Yeah. So, yeah, and him with Heather Graham. Heather Graham was one of the ones that we feel like her and Rachel True were the ones that were probably closer to their 30s.
Oh, this would have been the same year as
Austin Powers.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
So there you
Ryan
go.
had a big
there
97.
Yeah,
I was like, something else very large and important.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Heather Graham at the time, probably considerably older than Ryan. And it's just like when you think about Heather Graham's career, I mean, she was close to getting one of the Heathers.
Right. Yeah, in 89.
In 88. And then,
88, yeah.
I mean, like, Drugstore Cowboy came out in, like, 89, which is wild.
Yeah.
To think of Drugstore Cowboy as a movie from the 80s, because you definitely don't think of that as a product of the 80s, just because you get the whole Gus Van Sant element behind it.
Yeah, totally. But, yeah, she'd been on the radar for a while, and... yeah, there's just so many people in this movie.
I always forget Debbie Mazar's in this movie.
Debbie Mazar,
those two characters.
Kristen Cozy.
Yeah. And I like that Debbie is front and center of our like VHS copy.
And she
I
is
think
right
on the trailer.
There. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to pick favorite characters in this movie because there's 108 of them.
Yes, absolutely.
But I love, the whole dominatrix thing going on and this very dark underside of like Bart's drug addiction, secret kink world, and maybe the secret is that he wants to be with women.
Yeah. They pull his nipple rings out.
Yeah,
that almost makes me cringe more than some of the violent scenes.
Seriously, it's crazy. Okay, so some of their names, like we said, Lucifer, Dingbat, Egg, Cowboy, Handjob.
Right. Cozy is Debbie Mazar's character.
Yeah.
Cowboy.
Dark. You know. And Egg kind of does say it to the teen idol, as he's credited.
Right.
He's like, what's your name? And she's like, oh, it's Egg, but it's Polly, but all my friends just
call me
friends call me Egg. So it's like, I'm assuming it's just this thing with this group of kids that they all just call each other these like crazy
fun,
names.
stupid nicknames.
You don't think that Ryan Phillippe's real name is Shad?
His name could be Shad. Shad is a real name, and her name, and she's just Alyssa. So those are probably their names, and Mel is just Mel. She's,
their parents were the Bradys. No, or I'm getting like
Bart's parents are the Brady.
Right.
the Swedish Brady.
Eating Jell-O, just watching TV.
Yeah. I love that they're watching TV, and then like in the background there's like a car crash like sound effect, and she just laughs. She laughs, like points at the screen. I'm like, oh my god, this is wild.
Do you think that these two like reminisced about Making Nowhere when they were doing like the
Very Brady renovation?
The Very Brady renovation show on HGTV? I like to think so.
Maybe. You're right, though, Scott. I'm looking at this VHS, and it's Chris Cozy and Bart.
Yep.
One of them and Bart. Cozy. They're all over the poster.
Yeah. I mean, we had to get kids to rent this movie, I guess.
Yeah. They're like the sexiest
Pulling the trailer was interesting of just how they decided to sell the movie.
Oh, yeah. That trailer was so wild. It kind of didn't really fit like the tone.
I guess I get it. It's just like you have to grab young people's attention in the 90s. And this was at a time where marketing movies probably couldn't be all that sophisticated. It's like now you could sell this movie with like a proper trailer.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes...
But that trailer we listened to
back in the day, you kind of had to do a bait and switch thing.
Yeah. Like this
with
is just
certain
like
audiences.
A wild teen comedy. And it is.
I think the trailer is great, but maybe it's because I've seen this movie hundreds of times that I'm like, oh yeah, it's all in there. Like, basically just gave the whole film away.
Yeah. So it's a cast of thousands. Everybody's great. It's hard to pick our favorite characters, but I do think
you're going to say what I think you're going to say.
I think that the three Val girls.
That would be it.
My favorite scene of the movie. I always think of the scene whenever I'm walking around Hollywood Boulevard and when we pass this mural.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's off of...
Yeah.
I don't know what side street
it's off
it is,
Hollywood.
Yeah, it's right off Hollywood. It's right off the strip.
Oh my god. Jujyfrui's party's tonight, and I have no clue who to go with.
What about Jason? I'm going with Jason.
Well, then I'll go with Tomas.
I thought you were going with Tomas. Tomas has a dinky weenie. You did Tomas? Ew, I'm sure. Gross. I thought Jason was doing Tomas.
Jason's doing that Valley Sluckle Eileen Schwartzkopf.
Untrue. Says who? Eileen. And you believe her? Hello. She lives in Whittier. If Jason did Eileen, then he must have done Richard.
Who's Richard?
Eileen's other Sky. Like, she's totally into these pinko three-ways. Eileen is a whore.
Is Richard the surfer with the hair lip that drives the black Jetta?
No, he's got a Lexus.
I thought he hung himself.
Yeah, he's like totally gorgeous. Plus, he's got a Lexus.
Is he gay?
Who, Jason? Richard? Tomas. Well, duh, what do you think, Dingleberry? I swear, Trudy.
What's left after they get like incinerated?
Three retainers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hands down, favorite part of the whole damn movie.
Do you also often think about this scene when we drive to my parents' house because they live in
Whittier?
Whittier.
So the same friend who introduced me to this movie that I was talking about right in the beginning, her and her gay best friend used to consistently just say to each other, "Hello, she lives in Whittier," and being from Philly, I didn't even know what Whittier was or meant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I moved
People
down
in
here.
Los Angeles probably don't even know where Whittier is.
No.
It's the 562.
One of my most prized possessions is actually an original print of the continuity photo from this scene.
Ooh.
I have hung up in my apartment of the three of them.
I love that.
I will also have to show you guys when we're done filming or recording this that I did a screening of Nowhere in 2018, I think. Mm-hmm. And we would always do these little drag pre-shows before the films, and I insisted on having two other people do the Valley Girl scene with me. So we started the show off with the three of us sitting at a bus stop, had somebody dress up as an alien. We had a huge fogger that went off at the end of us lip-syncing the scene together.
Did you disappear? Was it?
We all just pretended to be dead, I think. Because we were like, well, we're not musicians.
Right, yeah. Pull out some crazy...
I think Tracy Lord's line delivery is really funny.
She's so good. I mean, she's so funny in Crybaby.
Yeah.
Like, I love her in Crybaby. Like, she looks beautiful. Like, she's just, like, playing that character, killing it. It's like, she should have more of an acting or a comedic actress, like, career, but... She's so funny.
Tracy's part of my, like, core group of iconic blondes from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, it's like her, Anna Nicole Smith, Angeline, Christina Applegate, but... And Christina Applegate's also in this movie.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Christina Applegate in this movie, like, I feel like Married with Children might even have still been on in 97.
Yeah, because I think that's when she cut her hair short and dyed it brown.
Or it was just finishing up.
Yeah. And we had just, for 11 years, been watching her with iconic Kelly Bundy, like...
The biggest hot bimbo. And then she gets turned into the girl with braces.
Yeah. And she plays that character so well. Like, oh, I'm going to go get a beer. Oh, grab me one too. Just grab as many as you can carry. Am I the freaking bartender?
And she's just got that, like, jaw-locked, like, underbite with the braces and the, like, spitting while she talks.
Yeah.
Another small little nerdy fact about this movie is that there's two different references to Bikini Kill in this.
Oh, yeah.
One of which being they're listening to Hole when they're driving in the car and there's a big Bikini Kill sticker on the front window. Mm-hmm. But also that shirt that Christina Applegate wears, it's got like two cats on it and one's like hissing in the other one's face, is like something that Kathleen Hanna used to wear a lot when she would perform back in the day.
All right.
This is how nerdy, the small, minute details that I get into.
Because that shirt's like, it's so like in your face when she wears it. Like, look at that. Look at those kittens. But yeah, Kathleen Hanna.
We've also got three crazy cat people talking about a movie here.
Totally. Yeah, Christina Applegate's character, Dingbat. Love it. The scene where they binge on that piece of cake.
Yeah.
It's kind of like... Oh man,
feels like kind of a movie joke that you could probably only do in 97.
You could never. And then Alyssa just says something kind of similar to what's going on in Gym Generation, where she's like, "I'm just going to do a bunch of speed
later,
not eat for like 3 days." Like, oh my god.
Promised my mom I wouldn't for a week.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Like, promised my mom I wouldn't for a week. Like, okay, like negotiating with your mom about like your eating disorder. It's like, oh my God.
One of my all-time favorite albums is by the Lunatics, which is Binge and Purge. So eating disorders are something that apparently were more lightly joked about in the 90s.
Yeah. But it's like, that's the thing. Like we were saying, you know, today, like these jokes that couldn't get put in or situations that couldn't get put in. And now when we show this movie to people having to like really give like trigger warnings at the beginning and stuff like that. It's like, it was the 90s. I don't know. Was it more innocent of a time? Less? It's like, have we become more puritanical as the years go on? It's so crazy how sometimes we just have to like slap warnings on everything. And can we just watch this crazy movie about alien abductions? And
I feel like at a time before the internet was really accessible, you know, like we sought these things out very specifically. You know, true. Like if you had seen The Living End or Totally Fucked Up or The Doom Generation, you knew what was coming probably or what to expect of Gregg Araki's movies. Yeah. It's like walking into Smiley Face and being confused because it wasn't anything like all the others.
I mean, it's kind of like the new Cronenberg just debuted at Caan and all of the walkouts, and Kristen Stewart was pretty much like, it's a David Cronenberg movie. You knew what you're getting into.
Did you guys see it?
Yes, I did see it.
I saw it last weekend.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was
fine.
Love it.
I didn't love it as well, but I haven't seen a lot of the older David Cronenberg movies though. So
I mean, again, it's this whole like how people's careers and work change over and progress over the years.
We'll watch Scanners later on. So that's Cronenberg. That's Cronenberg, right?
Yeah, that's Cronenberg.
Scanners. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, the guy's head exploding. That's the whole. That's from Scanners.
The most iconic.
Yeah, it's like a shotgun full of like meat or something. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Do you think that they gave Nathan Bexton contacts?
Yes,
had to. I mean, I can't tell which is the fake one though, or maybe they're both different colors. Like,
I mean, blue is really blue.
Yeah.
And I have blue eyes, but like. Yeah, it's that green and that blue. They're so intense.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the character that I want to see the most of. I'm
see the least
curious if they shot stuff with this character and didn't end up using it that kind of tied a little more into the alien abduction at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Oddly enough, I was going to say, I recently went searching for the whale mural when he's standing at the bus stop and says, God help me, and that's in Venice.
Okay.
But my friend and I, or two friends and I, we actually went and had like a mini nowhere location day where we went to a few, and that was one of them, and that was really exciting to see.
Okay,
Which locations did you go to?
We did that, and we went to the hotel that you were talking about earlier.
Oh, the Rosalind.
The Rosalind.
Yeah.
Which it was just a really lucky day for us, I guess, because we walked up, and I was like, oh, this is a full-on, like, you know, very heavily secured building.
Yeah.
And we turned around the corner, and somebody just happened to be walking out of a side door of the building, so we just kind of very quickly ran in, went straight to the elevator, went to the top floor, and we see stairs that went up to the roof, and the door that had an alarm was just creaked open a little bit.
Oh my God!
So we all went up there.
Where's
it's
downtown?
Downtown. It's the $1 Million Hotel. It's got the big heart-shaped neon sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else has it been used in?
Well, they took the sign down and put it on a different location for the U2 Streets Have No Name video in like the early 80s.
Okay.
There's a movie called $1 Million Hotel with like Mila Jovovich or something,
and
I think it's set there. Thomas Hardy?
No.
Well, at any rate,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure what else it's been in, but it's an old classic. Now it's kind
Mel
of
Gibson.
Oh, Mel Gibson. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like not quite a flop house, but I think it's like a low income.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this might be like an SRO situation. Yeah. We lucked out. We went up there. And within like 4 minutes, a security guard came up.
Oh, okay.
It was very nice, though. We were like, please, you don't... Or,
we're lost.
Every time I do these location things, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. we just pretend that we're location scouting, and we were like, "Oh, we're working on a documentary about a film that was shot here in the '90s.
Yeah,
do you mind if we just take a couple photos real quick?" And the guy was like, "Yeah. You just got to hurry up. Like, you can't be up here." And we were like, "Of course, we understand."
And then you start posing.
Yeah. Can you take the photo for us? I had a fucking tripod with me.
Oh my God.
I think I always thought that and the roof scene from The Craft were the same, but that's an Echo Park.
Echo Park.
Yeah.
That's the bowling. Yeah.
I think always mentions it when we're driving.
Oh.
Not always, but a lot. Did anybody get to do Bart's pose hanging off the side of
No, I was too chicken shit to get up there.
Yeah, it would be.
Well, it's funny because the friends I were with were walking around, and I'm not scared of heights, but if there's no railing.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just like 20 stories.
Yeah, it's high
It's
up.
not like a 5-story building. It's
it had been raining the whole day, and when we went to the mural, it stopped for a bit.
Oh, wow.
And we took all these photos, it started raining again, and then when we got to the hotel, it stopped again.
Oh, wow.
It was a perfect little location
Is
day.
the whale mural kind of like by the boardwalk or in Venice? Or?
It's getting closer to that. I honestly don't even... I remember just being kind of out of it that day.
Sure.
Just finding the address, going, taking the photos.
Yeah, and it's like kind of an alley.
It's a very small little street. The movie makes it look so
really
much
wide.
bigger than it is.
Yeah.
When you were in that neighborhood, did you go to the Nightmare on Elm Street alley? You know that alley is
Tina's house.
Is right off of Abbot Kinney.
I was going to say, that's not where the house is.
It's like 10 steps from like Abbot Kinney.
Tina's house, not Nancy's house, listeners.
Not then yet, but I will put that on my list.
Yeah,
it looks exactly the same.
I haven't gone there. Scott's gone to that one. Yeah, we love doing all that shit.
Yeah, like locations are half of... That's all I did during the pandemic because I moved here January 2020.
Oh, wow.
And
then
everything happened. So, yeah, one of my 3 friends of my pod, we would just go and find locations from all our favorite films. And, it's funny to look at the progression of we don't have masks on these photos because these were a year into it. But the first ones, you step foot out of your own door.
Yeah.
But Gregg Araki ones are actually kind of hard to... Even though they're all shot in LA, they're just kind of hard to find because I think they did a lot of guerrilla filming of just turning random spaces they could get into locations.
Yeah. And they're shot in this way that just disguises kind of everything around it too. So it's just difficult to be like, well, this is here. We were noting the shot where Egg and Jason Simmons were walking. Is that the Hollywood Reservoir?
Yes, it is the Hollywood Reservoir.
So that's a very frequent place that I go hiking, and every time I walk by, I'm like, that's definitely what this is, but I can't tell if it's on the bridge.
I don't think it's bridge because it's so narrow.
I almost think that they hop the fence and
there's
another somewhere inside
okay.
where you can't go as the public. Maybe even at the time in 97 or 96, you could have gone in those areas.
Yeah, when you do the half of the walk that's just the paved, on that side of it, I know that there's a little thinner bridge thing going on.
Okay.
It almost looks like it's only for employees to access or something like that.
Because they're walking on a bridge and Scott's like, it's a reservoir. I'm like, but that bridge is 2 lanes, wide.
Yeah.
You can drive a car down it. What they're walking on is they barely fit the 2 of them side by side. So it's probably somewhere else in there. But that was one of the ones that was okay, we know where that is. I don't know why the Atari gang keeps popping in my head.
Thanks for the bitch and ride, bitch.
Turn it up, bitch.
That's when the Manson scene is on.
Yeah, those 3 are just so wild. But that's, I don't know, that's something it just feels like something out of a Gregg Araki movie. Just these crazy, kooky people. The big buff drag queens.
Yep.
I love the big buff drag queens. Yep. How are they credited in the
scary drag queens? I think they're credited as scary drag queens. Yeah. It's funny seeing drag in movies in a pre-drag race context. Because now it's such a thing where it's it's drag race has become its own I don't know, way of looking at drag queens.
Absolutely.
And then seeing it before that, it's just
See something a little more raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how this movie, especially, he could create these super memorable, iconic characters that were literally on screen for all of 30 seconds.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the Atari game.
You'll never forget them.
Wearing like, all silver and just like foul mouth. What's their deal? They're just like hanging out on like quiet streets waiting to just like carjack somebody with a shotgun.
Also, I don't know the actor's name. Mel's little brother.
Oh, sure. Zero,
right.
Yeah.
He looks like he's 12.
He
could not drive a car.
So young. And I'm like, he's driving this car weird. Also, just peeing openly next to your sister.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, all right, kid.
A little weird.
Waiting for her to leave the bathroom.
When they pull up next to Shad and Lilith in the car.
Yeah.
Occupied. I was going to bring it up earlier. Another, like, one of my favorite quotes from this movie is, dogs eating people is cool.
It's cool. Your blood is cool.
Those two.
Yeah, their whole thing is that they're just like, they just can't get enough of like fucking each other.
And I can always never not think like, wouldn't you get a really gnarly yeast infection from putting Valentine's Day chocolate in your snatch?
And I love his face is just
covered.
Yeah. Chocolate afterwards.
Let's all die.
Let's all die. Oh man, just driving off of like Mulholland, just like getting a blowjob. Mm-hmm. I love it.
What a way to go.
I want to die. Oh my God. Yeah, those two characters are crazy. And then that's another one where Alyssa finally meets up with Shad at the party, and then they just start fucking next to each
brother
other.
and sister, like
just being inappropriate. But I mean, if you're gonna just fuck your girlfriend in public at a party, you might as well be doing it next to your sister. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I mean, like, again, seen this movie thousands of times, but that scene where he screams, "Let's all die," and like hits the gas. In your head, like, they just drove off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then I just realized, no, they make it to the party.
They make it to the
party.
Yeah. Jujyfruit's fucking party. So the Jujyfrui is played by the guy from Butthole Surfers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gibby. What's his name? His name's Gibby something. I'll find it. I always forget his name.
I would imagine this
Gibby
party
Haynes.
is also in Sun Valley.
Like somewhere out there,
like the party from Clueless.
Again, like thinking the Valley was a whole nother miles and miles and miles away.
It's just over the hill. But who wants to go out there anyway? We did look at a couple of we actually didn't go out there, but there were a couple of places in North Hollywood that we were potentially going to go.
I feel like North Hollywood is the furthest that I will go into the Valley,
and then maybe Studio City. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was just like the whole time in my head I was like, I don't want to live in the Valley.
sorry past guests that live in the Valley.
We found our place in East Hollywood. Our own little ghetto here. But everything kind of comes to this crazy head at this party. It's wild, but you just kind of it's for the purposes of the movie that Egg and Ducky's father has the number to the party, first of all, that he calls.
I thought that it was Ducky's cell phone.
No, it's like the house phone.
It's a house phone?
Yeah,
okay.
Because Jujyfrui gives him the phone. He's like, it's
right.
your old man, it's your dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, that's weird. And he like takes the call. And then I guess he's so distraught that his sister killed herself that he tries to drown himself in the pool. Mm-hmm. That's how it happens.
Good old Dingbat comes to the rescue.
Oh, Dingbat.
Eating that. She's
a corn dog.
Hot dog? Yeah.
She's eating a corn dog.
Like, wow, Jujyfrui's party got corn dogs? Cool. I mean, I guess you can get frozen corn dogs. Yeah, she has this kind of crush on Ducky. She goes in for a kiss at one point and like chips his tooth.
I think she cuts his lip with her braces.
Yeah, at the Kick the Can game.
Oh yeah,
where they all take ecstasy and play Kick the Can.
The fun thing about the party is like, you know, any party scene in a film, you've got to hire lots of extras and stuff like that. And as somebody who does wardrobe, like extras and background talent are always, you know, it can be a little bit of a challenge. But you look around that party and every single person is like done up to the nines.
Yeah.
Like,
to fit into this universe.
Such cool goth raver latex fashion. Ugh.
Yeah, and the fashion, like we said, is so crazy. Like, not crazy, but I mean, it's just so like out of the box and not something that you're used to in like a teen or like a,
it's stylized
movie.
Just enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Surf and ski, when they come in, they're wearing these weird like shoulder gauntlet.
It's like
things.
an epaulet harness, white leather.
Yeah. And like hot pants, like super short shorts and like no shirt, situation. And like, and the girls, whatever, they're wearing like kind of like Amy Blue's like clear raincoat situation.
It looks like a shower curtain. And then those little, I used to steal them from my mom and play with them as a kid. They were those like t-shirt clips in the 80s where you would cut the circles with the little thing that you would use to like crop up your t-shirt.
Yeah.
And they were just glued all over, and then it just said what and ever.
Yeah. And they had kind of like big like bouffant hair, like ponytail. Yeah.
And I knew her because I'm a kid of the late 80s. I only knew her from Step by Step. So the first time I saw it, I was like, Dana, yeah. Again,
exactly.
like kind of the reversal. Like she was a character that was the bookworm, nerdy, and here she is in like clear shower curtain talking about crystal meth.
I told her.
And she's with the girl from My So-Called Life, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And that girl on My So-Called Life, she was Angela's friend who kind of developed more than Angela had. And had like a busty, like voluptuous body, but was still a little bit more of kind of like a square.
Yeah.
And so that was
Angela's old friend.
Yeah. And Angela was trying to be a little bit more like alternative and cool. And Sharon was a little bit more like square, kind of wore like Holly Hobby, like floral print dresses and stuff with her like huge boobs. But that was the other thing, that she was more of like a goody two-shoes character. And then to see those two playing, in a cameo, walked past the cameo.
How did AJ not end up in this movie?
Rayanne is not in this movie.
Rayanne is not in this
I literally
movie.
was like, Rayanne, what's her name?
Rayanne Graff should be in this. Yeah, Ricky should be in there somewhere at this party.
AJ
Langer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, who knows? There's a bunch of extras in this at this party.
Yeah.
Look around. Maybe they're back there. But yeah, the party's wild. Elvis, after like boning Alyssa in front of the whole world, just like
it's literal roid rage.
Yeah.
Becomes unhinged.
With Handjob, this guy who's like the drug dealer throughout this movie.
I always thought he was really hot.
He is.
Too.
He is. Handjob is
another
super
person
hot.
with green. Wait, sorry, I said that Guillermo Diaz had green hair in this movie. He did not. He had black hair.
He's
Handjob has the green
cut.
hair.
Yeah, Handjob has the green hair. The green haircut, and Cowboy has the little Caesar.
Yes,
and Handjob the drug dealer is super hot. Right, because he's like shirtless the whole time, and he's like kind of ripped. He's like good looking.
I remember feeling so uncomfortable. He's like literally needle and arm dipping out.
Yeah,
and I was like, but he's so sexy.
Yeah, seriously. And he's the one that's like got Bart hooked, on whatever, and so he's like bad news. So I don't know. Maybe his viewers were supposed to be like, he's got it coming somehow.
You know what? He also walks up to a girl and asks if he can jizz in her face. Yeah. And then he gets punched in the face.
Yeah,
but it's like, he wasn't the best person.
Yeah. But that scene though, it's wild. And I think again it's stylized because it is a tomato soup can. So is it like is it the tomato soup that's flying everywhere?
Is it blood?
Yeah. So
and it's almost comical of how he's bashed, because it's like this is all off camera.
Yeah.
That you can't see
camera,
it.
Yeah.
Like it's almost comical of like him with this can.
Yeah. And Dark's ready to go home. Dark's ready to leave the party. He's like walking out the door, and this happens in front of him, and he like jumps on Elvis
because he's just. It's Mel and the two twins.
Well, Mel is ready to go fuck the Brewer twins. Yeah, and I love too when we see that Lucifer is not having this either.
Yes,
because the whole time Lucifer is like. She's very antagonistic.
Butting heads.
Yeah, very antagonistic towards Dark. The like little nicknames they have for each other. Very like Amy Blue kind of dialogue. But yeah, when she finally does see the twins there, surf and ski, she's just like fuck. And she goes up to them and like You know, we don't hear what they're saying, but like we see her like throw their drinks and like all this stuff, but they don't even care.
Someone asks to fart in her. Wait, there's a scene where somebody says something about farting in someone's face, and there's something about jizzing in somebody's.
I think Handjob says jizz in your hair or jizz in your. He definitely says jizz, and then somebody says, I think they do tell Lucifer to fart on her.
She
somehow.
Punches somebody.
Yeah.
This is literally like the last 4 minutes of the movie.
I know.
For some reason, I'm getting it confused. But.
Yeah, but you know, at this point, like Montgomery has been.
Montgomery's been like MIA.
Yeah, he was abducted
during Kick the Can.
Game. Yeah. Did you think of something like that?
I did. I remember there's like a dominatrix Asian girl that somebody asks about the farting, and then she blows smoke in his face. And then the jizz, I think, is with Kathleen Robertson or with Lucifer, and then she punches somebody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the girl that blows the smoke in his face, she's got like her hair is kind of like blue or green. Or something.
And the person who asks about the jizzing in the face with Lucifer has an accent.
Okay,
you can't jizz in your face. Scottish.
That's right.
Or
yeah. Okay. All right. It's all falling into place now.
I like this last moment with Montgomery and Dark in bed. It's very sweet,
tender.
Well, so in the very first scene of the movie, when Dark's like fantasizing in the shower, first it's Mel, then it's like Chris and Cozy, but then it's Montgomery's in there too. So it's like he already knows.
He's on his mind.
Yeah. So that's like it's not completely out of the blue for this last moment with the two of them. So he's kind of like, and he makes Mel pull over when he sees Montgomery waiting for the bus, you know. So he's very much like open to this, whatever it is, even though.
And he's not quite playing it like his character in Doom Generation. That's almost kind of like a dummy.
Yeah.
And isn't almost getting like.
Yeah, he didn't,
sexual hints.
Yeah.
Jordan character.
Yeah, Jordan didn't really get what was going on in Doom Generation, but I feel like Dark is a little bit more like tuned in to like there's something about this kid that I am attracted to.
And that's the awesome thing is like a lot of the main characters in this film, you know, eventually have some sort of queer storyline to them, you know, questioning their sexuality or experimenting with different things. I mean, I forget which movie Splendor was the non-gay Gregg Araki film, but I mean, a lot of his movies were advertised as another gay Araki film.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's awesome that he brought all this to the big screen at the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about too, that the Doom Generation starts off saying a heterosexual movie.
That's what it is.
By Gregg Araki.
Right.
Like condescendingly saying it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this one didn't say either or at the beginning. It was just got started. But
that's what I was thinking is the heterosexual film.
But I think the other one said like a homosexual movie. I think Totally Fucked Up said like a homosexual movie or something like that.
So, part of his advertising at the time.
Yeah, so this last scene, I mean, as like young gay kids, this was a scene that I was like, oh my God.
This is the one that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah. And it's like, I know he gives them the little tidy whities that are just like hanging on this like lamp or whatever.
After he steps in that disgusting moldy sandwich.
But I love that when he finds the moldy sandwich earlier, he doesn't throw it away.
No.
He just moves it. He just moves it and puts it on the floor.
Much like the opening scene with the two of them, the sandwich comes back from the opening to the end of the film.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like James Duval or Dark, you know, in this movie, he doesn't have any costume changes. Everybody else changes clothes a lot, and he's pretty much just wearing like his jeans, wallet chain, black t-shirt, the whole time. But like when he changes at the beginning, like he's not wearing any underwear, like there's jeans and like all that, and he's naked in bed. So I'm like, all right, naked James Duval. And then he gives Montgomery the tidy whities. I'm like, stay naked.
Maybe he was though.
Yeah, it could have been. But yeah, they just have this quiet little moment. Okay, you know, just spend the night here, just stay here, and then
Sweet gaze into each other's eyes. The comfort of cuddling with somebody.
Yeah. And then boom.
Yeah.
Cockroach.
Don't forget all the COVID coughing.
Triggered.
Oh, man. I always forget that on the soundtrack...
It's him yelling, right?
That the song, it doesn't end. It's like... It's in the movie, too, but it's after the credits. It's their pre-MCU post-credits scene of Dark just screaming, covered in blood.
Oh, I was like, wait, what happens after the credits?
Yeah, it's just Dark screaming. And that's edited into the very, very end of Trash on the soundtrack. And there's like 10 seconds before they play it. So it's like it's just quiet and then just Dark screaming.
I always loved the absurdity of like how over-exaggerated his like... I mean, he's coughing and very... Obviously something's not okay, but he's like, Montgomery?
Yeah.
Montgomery?
Yeah. What's wrong? Yeah, he's just like,
what's wrong with you?
It's like, okay, it's a cough. Get him some water.
And then the cockroach alien just says, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Oh, man. Yeah. That shit is wild. And I think, too, that was one of the things that some people that I remember showing it to, they're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's generally the response of anybody I've shown it to who's never seen it is, what?
Like, don't worry about it. It's existential. It's Kafkaesque.
Like, oh, this makes sense that you love this movie, Seth. This explains your personality pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of that.
And just probably... this movie I could see pissing off a lot of people, that there's really no strong plot device or story. You're more just kind of hanging out with these characters in a day.
Yeah.
That you're just sort of floating around from one friend group to the other. And I think that stuff like that does piss some people off.
Yeah.
That there's no strong plot of this movie.
Okay.
The lack of structure will drive some film nerds up the wall.
Yeah. Let's see. Did Roger Ebert review this movie?
I don't think he did.
Interesting.
Found an interesting quote from the LA Times that they wrote. What a risky picture Nowhere is. Araki plays compassion for his young people against a setup of virtually every teen movie classic you can think of since Rebel Without a Cause, not to mention Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210, and even borrows from those beloved monster movies from the 1950s. So
that's where the alien and the cockroach definitely come in.
The LA Times got it.
Okay. I pulled this because I thought that it was very interesting. The New York Times described Nowhere as California's version of Kids.
Yeah, I could see that.
I hadn't thought of that. I mean, Kids is obviously definitely based more in a real world kind of situation.
I would say Kids makes me more uncomfortable, though, too.
Yeah, Kids is a lot more of like
the whole weird Larry Clark
dread.
Yes. Being an East Coast kid, though, who got into a lot of trouble, like, that's... I have many, 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 many years said that, like, if I were ever to make a movie, it would be a mix of, like, Kids meets Nowhere meets Mysterious Skin.
Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness.
Another Araki film.
Yeah.
Those three films all being, young teenagers.
Yeah.
Very, very, very tried and true to like how I grew up a little bit.
Okay. Peek behind the veil.
I think that Mysterious Skin was the first Gregg Araki movie that I could actually get my hands on and watch because it was like a mainstream independent movie.
Yeah.
I think that may have been actually like the second one, or maybe first I had seen. I know I still can't remember first time I saw Doom, but I remember the first time I saw Mysterious Skin, and it was like 2005 or 6.
You don't forget the first time you see that movie.
Nope.
That one sticks with you. But I kind of mentioned that Kids is set in such a real world, a real New York, and this movie and Doom Generation are definitely set in this kind of like stylized dream like Fantasyland LA, but I mean, I think a lot of people kind of think about LA that way.
It's true.
Anyway, so maybe it's kind of apropos that if we're going to set something, out here, then it's going to be a little bit more stylistic, and less like real world. But I like that. I like that comparison to the
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we do understand for our listeners that this movie is a little bit hard to come by. But there's
that weird stream on YouTube. I got a stream of Doom Generation that I had linked on our page for our Doom Generation episode. If you want it,
that's good to know.
Drop us a DM because we have a stream of it.
Yesterday,
and we'll try to do the same for Nowhere.
Yesterday, I was trying to find it and could only find a version that had 12 minutes edited out of it, which I realized was probably the ending and all that.
We talked about the R-rated version. Yeah,
my friend was like, "I don't want to see it if it's not the original way it was done." But I have a bootleg copy of Nowhere on DVD, so you can definitely find them on eBay, I think. And the quality of the one I have is actually pretty good. It must have been a VHS too.
Our set of trailers on this fine New Line tape was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
What did we get? We got Boogie Nights.
We got Boogie Nights. We got a few big gay movies that I had not seen.
Oh, we got Love, Valor, Compassion. That Jason Alexander queer version of The Big Chill.
Oh,
or like in a mansion somewhere for the weekend.
And then one lesbian.
One lesbian movie.
It was the girl most likely. Something.
What was it?
It has one of the teenagers from To Die For in it.
I think also, if I remember correctly, All Over Me is another movie. That character. Yeah. It's called Girl Kiss or something. Two girls. Oh, the two girls in
Absolutely True Adventures of Two Girls in Love. I think that's it. Yeah. But if you do some legwork, you can definitely find this. We can help you out if need be. But I would say, I mean, YouTube's probably going to be our best bet right now if you don't mind a kind of squished aspect ratio.
I'll try to find a stream of it.
We'll find a good stream and we'll get that out there. But yeah, we recommend watching this movie because it's everything.
It's great. I mean, movies about young people like this don't really exist anymore.
No.
It's just like no one's really making movies like this.
Yeah.
See, I would also sort of compare, modern day characters like this would obviously Euphoria would be the closest thing. And I've heard so many people critique Euphoria in the ways of this isn't what it's like for kids. And I was like, well, some of us it was. And that's probably the closest thing you can see to those of us who didn't have had a wild life a little earlier than our college years.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, step back into the 90s with us and watch.
Thanks so much for coming on. So your Instagram account, I had followed your Instagram account. It's funny that sometimes when we're out and about at Precinct, or I think I saw you at the movies, you have that face that I'm just like, oh, I know him. Oh, I don't really know him. I just know him from the internet. But it's great to finally meet you, though.
Ditto.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was tons of fun.
You always post really fun stuff on your Insta, so give him a follow. Jerk of all trades.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is primarily film nerd stuff, clowns, and cats.
Love it. Love it. We love all those things.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely would love to have you on again sometime. But until then, it is time to say au revoir. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thanks so much. I mean, this was not intended to be a Gregg Araki double feature, but it just kind of worked out like that.
Yeah, mini Gregg Araki
I'm into it.
Festival.
We've always been meaning to get to his movies on the show, and I'm finally glad that we made it happen.
Yes,
yeah,
and we had some great guests. I love that our guests for these 2 episodes are super into Gregg Araki movies and just kind of, like I said in this episode, if you get it and you understand it and you like it, then you're fucking cool. And you can hang out with us. So, but it's just about that time in the episode.
Patreon shout-outs?
Time for Patreon shout-outs. We want to say a big thank you and hello to our patrons: Ted, Benny, Jermel, Melanie, Christopher, Susan, JJ, Leighton, Shelby, Michael, Charlie, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emily, Aaron, Melinda and Jim, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino.
Thanks so much.
so much. Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay to check out all of our fun supplemental content, including Watch With Us commentary tracks. There are over 20 that you can listen to. You can listen to them just as a bonus episode, or you can sync it up to the movie. We give you instructions on how to sync up the commentary to the movie, so our sparkling commentary lines up with what you're watching. It's actually really fun when you do it. I do it here just for fun every now and then. It's a fun time, and there's over 20 of them. We just did Jurassic Park was the last one in honor of Jurassic World Dominion.
It's going to be out by the time this episode comes out.
Absolutely. And we do a new one every month, so the list keeps on growing. So head over to Patreon, check out all the supplemental materials, and give us a donation. Every little bit helps, keeps us running, and it keeps us in equipment that's not falling apart. So thank you so much for doing that. We'd also love it if you would subscribe, rate, review.
Give us 5 stars. And if you write a review, if you write us kind words, we will read them on air.
Absolutely. If you write a bad review, then you're blocked. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, smash 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, write that review. Super easy, simple, free, 1 word, counts. Love it. So head over and do that. We'd also love it if you followed us on any of the social media platforms. We're on all of them. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Facebook.
And Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. You can also follow our personal ones if you are so inclined. I am Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Oscar Scott on... Or, excuse me, that's my old one. I am Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. And give old Seth a follow. He is the Jerk of All Trades, or at Jerk of All Trades on Instagram. Seth is a great guy, new friend of ours. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. This was a lot of fun. Go watch Gregg Araki movies. Be gay and do crime. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye.